thank you for the introduction. So it's a great pleasure to be again in India, and so that you know, I guess. So I'm very happy to be in Bangalore, and hope to come again, maybe. So anyway, so let's talk about this work in progress. It's not finished. So we start with a reductive group over Q, connected reductive. And we consider the symmetric space associated to G. So infinity means the real points. So it's a Riemannian symmetric space, let's say dimension D. So if you take the upper half plane, the dimension is 2, okay? It's a real dimension. So you introduce some integer. So L0 is the dimension of the maximal torus of G infinity minus the dimension of the maximal torus of this thing. And you introduce Q0 such that 2Q0 plus L0 is D. If you fix now a compact open inside the finite ideals, you get a locally symmetric space, G of Q under GF, okay. XG times GF over U. So it's a locally symmetric space of dimension D. And you consider some highest weight and the local system associated to this highest weight on this locally symmetric space, and you get some cohomology spaces. So inside this, so as you know, this can be computed in automorphic terms. So you consider the part where only tempered automorphic representations occur. You consider the dual. And then it's an old observation that if a Hecke eigensystem occurs in some degree, it will occur in a series of degrees, the same eigensystem. And so for if you say a form, an automorphic representation, which is tempered, if it occurs in some degree, it will occur in a series of degrees. And so this phenomenon has been explained by a fundamental theorem by Prasanna and Venkatesh. There exists some canonical abelian Lie subalgebra inside Lie of G over C, such that the tempered homology is the degree Q0 tempered homology tensor the exterior algebra of some of this abelian Lie subalgebra, which has dimension L0. So the picture is like this. So this picture I want to keep for the whole talk. Yeah, not too high, but yeah, okay. Yeah. So maybe here. Maybe it's too big. Dimension of hi of C. Yeah, I shouldn't. Well, anyway, dimension of hi of C. So from 0 to D, there is D over 2 somewhere. D over 2. there is 0, 1, up to Q0 minus 1. Then there is Q0. Then there is Q0 plus 1. Q0 plus L0. Q0 plus L0 minus 1. Then Q0 plus L0 plus 1. D minus 1. So the situation is that the cohomology is tempered cohomology is concentrated in this interval. Quite often, so I write this in another way. So H tempered Q0 tensor over H tensor C of lambda over H tensor C dot minus Q0 of A can tensor C, or tensor, sorry, H, tensor H, as a Hecke module. So Hecke, H is the faithful Hecke algebra on this space. And so, so what I want to say, so there is a symmetry by Poincaré duality. And if, for instance, this thing is free of rank 1 over H tensor C, let's say, then this mysterious thing occurs when you look at HQ0 plus 1. So actually we are very interested in this integer, and symmetrically this one, because you see this algebra A. And the fundamental idea of Venkatesh is that this is defined in Lie theoretic terms, but actually it has an arithmetic interpretation on the Galois side or on the motivic side, while this, of course, is of automorphic nature. So there is a direct relation between automorphic terms and Galois theoretic terms. So it's it's an avatar of the Langlands correspondence. And so it's very interesting to relate this object, and arithmetically is better, because here we are over C. So we go to the next section where we deal with the integral version. So integral version and Venkatesh conjecture. I mean, p-adic Venkatesh. I mean, the Venkatesh conjecture is motivic, actually, but we deal only with p-adic version. So we take a prime P, we take some big p-adic field, sufficiently big, not infinite, nevertheless. O, some its valuation ring, pi uniformizing parameter, K the residue field, and we consider now the integral cohomology. So if you like, you can take the highest weight to be 0. Okay. Anyway, it's more or less the hardest. Because if the weight is very regular, then it's simpler in some sense. So, well, I write V lambda of O, but if you like, you can just take O. Okay. So this has torsion, okay? And Venkatesh takes care of the torsion. This may have O torsion. And so you define the Hecke algebra as acting faithfully on this. You pick some pi, some cuspidal automorphic form. So this is a characteristic 0 object, which occurs in this thing, which has some interesting characteristic 0 part. Cuspidal automorphic tempered, representation. You assume it is tempered, which occurring, let's say, in HQ0, tempered. And so you consider the maximal ideal corresponding, so which is generated by pi and, if you like, the Hecke operators minus lambda pi of t. This is the Hecke eigensystem associated to pi for all t's. Sorry? No. Wow. It's the same actually, because as if you d minus L0 plus Q0 is Q0. So it occurs, as I said, if a pi occurs here, it occurs everywhere up to there. That's given by I forgot to say that the isomorphism of Prasanna Venkatesh is Hecke linear. So if a form occurs here, it occurs everywhere up to here. But this is over C. Pi is the true thing, is a true cuspidal automorphic representation. There is torsion, but this is not a torsion object. I take this pi to define a maximal ideal in the Hecke algebra, so there is no problem. When there are problems, I will tell I will be honest. So this is not a problem. Okay. So you define the localization, if you like, of the cohomology. Yeah, if you like, if you prefer. But maybe then, okay. In HQ0, but therefore in all of the interval. So, and this is the localization at M, so it's an integral thing, okay? It's HO localized at M. And then T is the Hecke algebra localized at M. So this is an O algebra, and I take Hecke operators outside the level of U. Okay, so it's so-called spherical O algebra, spherical Hecke algebra over O. So I recall that if S is a Shimura variety, if SU is a Shimura variety, then you have a theorem by, let's say, Karagianni and Scholze, which tells you that, so I assume, so you have pi, I forgot to say that, I assume that the residual representation, which is the representation associated to pi, modulo pi, the other pi, is absolutely reducible. So it means the Hecke, this maximal ideal is non-Eisenstein, absolutely reducible. So M is called non-Eisenstein. So this is an assumption, first assumption, non-Eisenstein. Sorry?
What is your proof now?
G. Any G for which there is a Galois representation. So there is a first assumption that there exists a Galois representation, but I will be more precise soon. I will take GLN soon. Yeah. So the theorem is that, so if M is non-Eisenstein, HIMO is 0 for any I outside the set Q0, which is the interval Q0 plus L0, because L0 is 0. This is the case of Shimura variety. You get L0 equals 0. And HQ0 is torsion-free. Over O. So now, in general, so this is the Shimura case. So now the non-Shimura case, where there is an L0, then you don't know the analog of the statement I gave over C. Namely, there might be some torsion group occurring in the cohomology in degrees outside the this range Q0, Q0 plus L0. So we need to make this assumption. That's an assumption which is very difficult to verify in general, which is that this HI is 0 for I outside this interval, Q0 plus L0. So we make this assumption. But nevertheless, it is easy to check in the following case if Q0 is less than 2. Because by the so-called congruent subgroup problem, I mean, if the group has a positive answer to the congruent subgroup problem solved by Serre and Hyman-Bass and so on for some groups, so subgroup problem. For instance, for GLN over, so for instance, GL2 over F, where F is CM, for instance, or GL3 or GLN over any number field if n is at least 3. So in that case, you can prove this by using this. It's a classical trick. So these are the two most important cases for us. So let's draw a picture. So for the first case here, you get, so maybe here, for this one, if we take degree 2 for F, so F over Q, if the degree is 2, 6 and so on, you have the following values for the numbers Q0, L0, and D. So Q0 is 1, 2, 3. L0 is 1, 2. That I'm not sure. I don't care anyway. So 1, 1. And so here is 3, is 6. So here the L0 is 1. And you see when L0 is 1, the duality tells you that if you know the structure of the integral cohomology here, then you know the structure of the integral cohomology there because it is this one. Okay? L0 is 1. Otherwise, if you know the structure of the cohomology here, you know the structure of the cohomology there, but you won't know anything about the intermediate values. So for those, you know the congruent subgroup. So you see, for GL2 of an imaginary quadratic field, it's okay. Q0 is 1. For GL2 of a biquadratic CM field, Q0 is 2, so it's okay. Okay, for these two cases. And here, then you can, if you take the example of GL3 over Q, you get the following values. Q0 is 2, L0 is 1, and D is 5. And so it's fine. Okay, you know this assumption. The vanishing outside the interval. So anyway, we make this assumption. Now we quote a theorem of Scholze. So there exists I nilpotent and there exists a Galois representation, rho m, from. So now let's say that we consider GLN over F. Okay. From now on, G is the restriction of scalars from F to Q of GLN over F. So F is CM or Q, yeah, well, or GL3Q. So there exists a Galois representation to GLN of T mod I, compatible, so unramified outside SP union level of U. So these are the primes above P in F, and with the property that the characteristic polynomial of rho m of Frobenius of V at such a prime outside this is the Hecke polynomial PV Hecke associated to pi to the Hecke algebra at V. For instance, for GL2, that would be x squared minus tvx plus norm v times sv. This is given by the diagonal matrix pi v, and here 1 pi v, for instance. And so we have this theorem. Now we assume, from now on, we assume that the level is Iwahori for n square free. So n is an ideal of OF square free. We could have more general cases, but let's do that for simplicity. So we assume that U is of this form, that pi is Steinberg at these places, at all the v's dividing n, and pi is ordinary at p, at v's in sp, and p distinguished, okay? P distinguished, which means in the sense of Wiles. So I come back to this. So now there is a second theorem which requires apparently to modify the nilpotent ideal I, which means to enlarge I, possibly, under these assumptions. Theorem by A, C, C, G, H, L, N, S, T, T, plus epsilon, which is that rho m restricted to IV for V dividing N will be given by, up to conjugation, by exponential TV of sigma times the Jordan block of size Nn. So this is a 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. TV is the time inertia character from IV to ZP of 1. And for V in SP, then you will get that rho m restricted to inertia or even to decomposition. Well, let's say to inertia. To inertia is given by characters. And so, yeah, I forgot to say that I assume that pi, I said that pi is ordinary somewhere. Pi is ordinary. So, yeah, so pi is ordinary. So you have a Galois representation constructed by Taylor. And rho pi bar restricted to inertia will be given by specific characters. And the assumption is that they are mutually distinct. That's the meaning of, well, maybe decomposition group. So the meaning of distinguished is that, so since pi is ordinary, you have rho pi bar, which has this behavior, and the assumption is that these characters are mutually distinct. So this was due to Taylor. And if the, yeah, it's a mod P thing. I need more chalk. Could I get more chalk? Sorry? This one? Ah, yeah. Okay. Right. So you have this theorem, but now, so this is maybe modulo I. Now we assume I equals 0. So we make this assumption. This assumption, if rho m bar is very large, might be unnecessary. If you look at the blog of Frank Calegari, there is something about that in his blog Persiflage. Well, okay, so that, anyway, we assume it might be known under similar assumptions if the image is large, but okay, so I'm not sure. So we assume that. So we introduce the homology just because it's more adapted. We define this by that. And now we can state the Venkatesh conjecture. In a vague form, maybe. So HQ0M tensor lambda dot minus Q0 over, this is a tensor over the Hecke algebra of the Selmer group of the dual adjoint, so at zero means trace zero, okay? This is SLN, if you like. SLN of T as a module, twisted by 1. And the Selmer group we consider is minimal outside P and ordinary at P. So it's a Greenberg-Selmer group in this case. So this should be related closely to H M dot, but maybe not isomorphic. It was mentioned by Venkatesh that it may not be isomorphic if there are congruences. So what he proves with Galassius, so there is a paper by Galassius Venkatesh proving that if there are no congruences, so pi is not congruent to any other automorphic form on the same group, same weight. So if T is O, then this is an isomorphism. Then this is an isomorphism. So this is the arithmetic interpretation of the A, okay? The p-adic interpretation. It should be a motive, actually. So that's the conjecture over Q. But the p-adic realization, it would be this one. But this is an integral version. So that's why there is a problem here. If you tensor by QP, if you invert P, it should be an isomorphism. Okay, but we are interested in the integral version. And so in the non-congruence case, even the integral version is true. But if there are congruences, what we do with Eric Urban is to relate, let's say H, because the most interesting for us is HQ0 plus 1. HQ0 plus 1, we relate it to the Selmer group. So basically what we'll do is to construct a map from this cohomology to this Selmer group and explain the co-kernel. It's not surjective, and we relate these two and compute the co-kernel. So that's what we will do. And the point is that to define such a map, it's not enough to do some deformation theory. It's really needed to do simplicial deformation theory. Although these objects are not simplicial at all, but this is the Venkatesh conjecture. There is an isomorphism if T is O. This is the theorem. This is a conjecture. There is a relation. So even if you tensor by QP, it's a conjecture. Sign means that maybe there are lattices, lattices in the same. So the vector space are isomorphic. So you will have T lattices. So in T over T tensor K, there should be an isomorphism, and so the first tool in Galassius, of course, we follow quite closely the construction of Galassius Venkatesh. So, and they start by using the Calegari-Geraghty theorem. So I have to recall the statement. So you consider a deformation problem from the category of Artinian O algebras whose residue field is K to the category of sets, sending an Artinian ring to the deformations of rho m bar, which are so which have the same behavior as rho m bar at V and N. So they are minimal and ordinary. So, and because of this, so it gives rise to characters on the diagonal, and you assume that they follow the same order that you chose as rho m bar. The characters given by the ordinarity condition, so modulo conjugation. And so we consider, I don't explain the details of these notions because I don't have time. So you consider this deformation problem, and as you know, by Schlesinger's criterion, this is representable. So there exists a ring R and a universal representation U, universal for this problem, universal for D. And so you can, and so by our assumption that the ideal I is 0, the representation of Scholze satisfies all the properties required in this deformation problem. Therefore, you get a homomorphism from R to T. And it's easy to check, as usual, that it is surjective. So you have an O algebra, local O algebra homomorphism between these rings. And the fact is that, with our assumptions, you can prove it is an isomorphism, but let's be a little more precise. You introduce some sort of thickenings of R by allowing Taylor-Wiles sets of ramification. So you introduce an integer R to be the dimension of the Selmer group H1 minimal ordinary F of the residual representation. No, dual, I'm sorry. You introduce this integer, you consider Taylor-Wiles sets, Qm, which are primes of F, V1, Vr, same number all the time, this number, satisfying norm of Vi congruent to 1 modulo P to the M, and some conditions that rho M of Frobenius Vi has distinct eigenvalues in the field K, in the residue field K. And then, and also that so the dual group, so minimal ordinary QM, not the duals, I'm sorry. You just add some more conditions, which are called the perp conditions at QM, which is that the cocycles must be 0 locally at the primes in QM, and then you should get, so the same group, it's a subgroup of this one, and this subgroup should be 0. And so the construction of such primes can be done if the residual representation has sufficiently large image. There are different variants, but anyway. So the existence of this can be done. This is a Taylor-Wiles system. Then there is a way to take the inverse limit of those. It's by pigeonhole principle, and you get a tower of the following things. O of delta Qm, alpha M R Qm. This is the deformation, universal deformation space for this problem where you allow free ramification at Qm. So you define dQm, same as D, but you allow free ramification at Qm. It's representable. You get a map like this, and you introduce formal power series rings. So the number of variables is n-1 times R. And the point is that by gluing these homomorphisms, you will be able to define a homomorphism between two power series rings, x1, xs minus L0. So this alpha is defined in some sense as an inverse limit of those. So you will be able to define this alpha between two power series ring by gluing these homomorphisms, which come from the deformation problem. Okay, this is just, so this is the PC law of T of OF modulo V1 VR. You take the PC law. So, anyway, not so. But the point is that you introduce these rings. So the main part, you introduce these rings and this morphism. So this is basically a Taylor-Wise. There is no Caligari-Gherati in this construction, okay? This is basically Taylor-Wise. But the Caligari-Gherati theorem is the following. So the map R goes to T is an isomorphism, but also the first homology is free over T of some rank. And as I mentioned, we are mostly interested in the cases GL2 over CM field or GL3 over Q. And in these cases, the rank is 1, actually. So for us, it will be of rank 1. But anyway, it's free. And they already had some description of the homology, but not as an exterior algebra, but as some ring, which is the Tor S infinity of R infinity O. This is a graded ring. So it's a graded ring over, this is also a graded algebra over the Tor 0. And what is the Tor 0? By definition, this Tor 0 is just, is R infinity tensor O over S infinity. And as I explained, because of this Taylor-Wise construction, this is nothing but R, the deformation problem where you don't allow ramification at the Taylor-Wise sets. And because of this isomorphism, this is T. So this is a T algebra, graded T algebra, and this is also a graded T algebra, T module, I'm sorry. And so this is an isomorphism of graded T modules. So that was known by Caligari-Gherati. So that's their theorem. Of course, in this setting, which is some sort of analogy, it came before Venkatesh, the mysterious and interesting group is Tor 1, and therefore Tor 1 is related to HQ0 plus 1. Yes, absolutely. So that's why for Q0 plus 1, you get Tor 1. So here Tor 1 is the interesting thing. But now, in order to relate, if you like, Tor 1, so this left-hand side with HQ0 plus 1, the only way is, for the moment, this is still on the automorphic, well, okay, this is kind of Galois, but you see R infinity, so this thing is not canonical, because you chose some Taylor-Wise sets to construct this ring, and it's not obvious that this ring is canonical. Nevertheless, you have such a structure. But there is a canonical object, and that's the key point of Galasius Venkatesh. That will be the homotopy graded ring of some simplicial deformation ring. So, just a word about the proof. As you could see in the definition I gave, there is a natural map from R. Well, you have to, so this is basically the homology of a complex, but more than homology because it's a ring, but it comes from the homology of the complex which is denoted by R infinity tensor underline S infinity O. So what is this complex? You take R infinity and you replace R infinity by a power series ring over some variables. because it's an S infinity algebra by this map alpha, and you can define something that will be a simplicial resolution actually, S infinity of x1, xa plus b. And then you tensor, I will explain this, okay? And then you tensor, these are rings and these are ring homomorphisms, okay? And then you tensor this by O. So if you call this P0, P1, P2, then you form P dot tensor O over S infinity. So that is a complex, it's called the simplicial ring over R infinity. So that's the definition of this object up to homotopy. So this is defined as such a complex. And that's the key to prove this theorem. Okay. I say that because I will need it. But I will explain this kind of rings because that's now... okay, yeah. Forgot to say the corollary. The Tor I vanish if I is not between 0 and L0. That's a corollary of this theorem and of the assumption vanishing M. And also, so HQ0 is very simple. This is the Tor 0. And so this is R, and therefore this is T, as I explained. And therefore, by Poincaré duality, this one is the dual. So it's the Tor L0, but it is the dual. And you see, you cannot have everything in life, as you know. This one contains torsion over O, but is free over T. This one does not contain O torsion, but it's maybe not free over T, because there is no reason for this ring to be Gorenstein. So there is no reason for this T module to be free over T. So this may not be free over T, but it's O torsion. And this one is O torsion free, and this one is O torsion free. That's the situation. Okay, now it's time to start something about simplicial rings. So we have a category of simplexes. So the objects are just sets of integers, and the homomorphisms are the increasing functions from one set to another. Now, if you have a category, you can define the category of simplicial objects. So what is a simplicial object? It's a functor, a contravariant functor from delta to C, contravariant. So this is called F is an object of SC. So it's a simplicial object, you say a simplicial object of C. So they form a category. The maps are the natural transformations between these functors. And so we are interested in three categories. The category of complete Noetherian local O algebras with residue field K, the category of O modules, and the category of sets. By the way, there are maps which are the forgetful maps. Of course. And so an element here is called a simplicial O algebra. This is a simplicial O module. So, and this is a simplicial set. So actually it's easy to prove that, relatively easy to prove that the category of simplicial O modules is the same as the category of complexes of O modules. There is an equivalence of category called Dold-Kahn. So there is an equivalence of category between the category of simplicial O modules and the category of complexes of O module. You see, you want to see maybe more concretely what is a simplicial object. Well, this category delta is very simple. You can find generators and relations for the maps. Okay? Increasing maps, functions, can be written as compositions of very elementary maps. So there are the so-called faces and degeneracy maps. So if you analyze the structure of this category, you see that it is the same. So if you have a simplicial object, it can be described, if you have a simplicial object, it can be described as a diagram where for the first degree, so it's a sequence like this, you have two maps, D0, D1, and one map in the other direction, which is a degeneracy map. Then you have three maps and two maps in the other direction, and so on. Here you have n plus 1 maps, D0 up to Dn, and you have n maps in the other direction, the degeneracy maps, S1, Sn, and they satisfy 5 commutation conditions, plus 5 conditions like, well, if you compose 2, and so on. Okay. 5 conditions of commutations between the D's and the S. So you can think of a simplicial object as a tower like this, with the conditions which I don't write, but they are absolutely explicit. So that is a simplicial object. So there is a notion of homotopy groups associated to simplicial object. Yeah, okay. And so what is the relation in the case of O modules? So if these things are O modules, the relation is very simple. You have these O modules homomorphisms, you take the alternate sum, and that becomes the differentials of the complex. Okay, so that's very simple. Okay, so you have the notion of homotopy groups of simplicial complexes, of a simplicial ring, simplicial object, any object. And so I don't define them. But in the case of O modules or of rings, you do the following. You want to define the homotopy groups of a simplicial ring. What you do is to consider your simplicial ring as a simplicial module. You consider the corresponding complex, and you calculate the homology, and actually, it's correct. Except that maybe you don't see the structure of ring of this graded thing. This is the sum of pi i's of r equals 0 to infinity. It is actually a graded ring, and better, it's a graded algebra over the pi 0. And this is hidden in this description, but it's a fact, because it's a ring, okay? So this is a pi 0 r dot, it's a graded pi 0 r dot algebra. But the calculation is easy, okay? You just take the homology of the alternate, you take the alternate sums of these maps, you get a complex, and you take the homology of this complex. So you have this notion, and let's focus on the pi 0. So actually, if you think a little, you find that the pi 0 of R is R0, which is a ring, divided by the image, as I said, of D0 minus D1. And because of the conditions, the 5 conditions I didn't write down, this is an ideal of R0. This is an ideal. So the quotient ideal of R0. So this is a ring. And you can view your diagram as some sort of complex, well, not a complex, but over this ring. You have the pi 0, you have a map R0 goes to here, and then you have the complex R1, not the complex, but the simplicial ring, R2, and so on. Okay? So it's over this ring, which is given by this formula. And so now with this definition, we can give the definition of an Artinian simplicial ring. So an Artinian simplicial ring is a simplicial ring or O algebra. Artin, I don't know, simplicial ring. So it's a simplicial ring R such that pi 0 of R is an Artinian ring, and the graded pi 0 algebra, pi 0 R algebra is finite over pi 0 R, which means, if you like, it's a finitely generated module, if you like, over this ring. Okay? Or if you like, here I am talking about algebras. If you prefer, as a module, it's finitely generated as a pi 0 R module. Okay, so that's the notion. So this defines for you a subcategory of the category of, so maybe I put an S, means simplicial, of this category. Okay, this is the category of simplicial complete Noetherian local rings. This is the category of simplicial Artin rings. So it's a subcategory. And so now you can define the notion of simplicial deformation problem. I will be very sketchy because the notion, unfortunately, the notion of a Galois representation is slightly tricky to define in the context of simplicial rings theory. So the simplicial deformation problem will go from the category of simplicial Artinian rings to the category of S sets, simplicial sets. If you take a simplicial Artinian ring, you will associate something which I call, sorry, I am very, this is, here I am cheating, okay? Minimal ordinary deformations, simplicial deformations of rho m bar. So you take a Galois representation, it gives rise to a morphism between simplicial sets, and you deform this morphism. So this is a little complicated to define, but it can be defined. And you can prove that this functor satisfies the Lurie representability criterion. So is pro-representable, not by Schlesinger, but by Lurie's criterion, which concerns, instead of the tangent space of the functor, it's the tangent complex, which should be actually concentrated in negative degree and finite dimensional for the T0, I think, by Lurie's pro-representability criterion. Sorry? SD is a functor from the category of S-Artinian rings to the category of simplicial sets. Yeah, and I don't explain that this is a simplicial set. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's impossible. This is not a set, it's a simplicial set. No, not at all, it's a theorem. There is a notion of homotopy groups, which I don't define, but you know what is the homology of a complex of modules, and I just tell you that it works. You can compare in this case. Yeah, but let me state at least our theorem. No, there is a notion of the homotopy groups of a simplicial object, or a set, simplicial set actually, but yeah, okay. Well, I won't, but I should define the pi one. So there is a pro-Artinian ring R, which pro represents this functor. And so this ring can be viewed as a diagram of formal power series, actually. And you may ask why these are so simple rings instead, because you see, okay, and by abstract nonsense, from this definition, you can prove that the pi zero of this simplicial ring is actually the usual deformation ring, which may be very nasty as a ring. And so this ring is not at all a power series ring. This is a simplicial ring consisting of power series rings, but the maps encapsulate the complicated structure of R. So this is a diagram consisting in power series rings, but the maps, because you see, you have a map to R, because this is the pi zero, so you have a homomorphism here, epsilon, some augmentation, and the relations, so the generators and relations of this are hidden here. So in our situation, we have the assumptions of Calegari-Geraghty theorem, so R is T, and now the theorem of, so Galassius Venkatesh, if T is O, and my student Yichang Tsai, if not, is that the homotopy algebra of this simplicial ring is isomorphic to the ring introduced, the graded ring introduced by Galassius, by Calegari-Geraghty. And this is an isomorphism of T-graded algebras. Because pi zero is T, okay? Pi zero of R is T, so this is a T algebra. This is also a T algebra. And so, okay, now what you want, so I have to state the theorem, is a relation. So we assume that the rank over T, so we assume that H Q0M is free of rank 1. It's over T. We assume that it's the case for many for many cases for GLN. Okay? GLN of many fields, for many ends and many fields. Most for CM fields, it's okay. And for GL3 over Q, it's okay. Then our theorem it's that there exists a T-linear injection from HQ0 plus 1 M tensor K over O into the this dual Selmer group, so H1 minimal ordinary, F adjoint 0 dual of rho M dual of twisted by 1 tensor K over rho. We take the p-divisible version of this statement because it's easier to identify the co-kernel. So this map, so there is a T-linear injection and the co-kernel. So what is it? So the co-kernel, so this is always true, but it becomes interesting if L0 is 1. If L0 is 1, then what happens, as I said, is that this is torsion-free. Therefore, this is a p-divisible group. And by Poitou-Tate duality and by Calegari-Geraghty theorem, these modules have the same rank over O. Okay? So the co-kernel will be, so we are basically dividing this group by its p-divisible part. And in Bloch-Kato theory, this is called the SHA-1 of this representation add 0 rho M dual of 1. And this SHA-1 by Poitou-Tate is the Pontryagin dual of, so this is finite because it is the Pontryagin dual of the usual Selmer group, which is finite, namely not the dual one, but the direct one, add 0 rho M. tensor K over O. So this one is known to be finite by Calegari-Gherati. By Poitou-Tate, it's dual of this one. And so this is the co-kernel. So you see that the co-kernel has an arithmetic meaning. And if you like, this is, if you like a better description, by deformation theory, this is omega of R over O. Therefore, this is omega of T over O as a T module. So this T module is isomorphic to this finite T module. This follows from Calegari-Gherati. And so the point is that this map, which relates something automorphic with something Galois, must be defined in simplicial terms. So in negative time, I can say just a word about this map. So this map is constructed by constructing its Pontryagin dual. And to construct its Pontryagin dual, you construct for each quotient of T modulo pi to the n. So you introduce these Artinian rings, and you construct the Pontryagin dual of this map as follows. You consider some auxiliary simplicial Artinian ring, namely An plus some. So I take some module. I will fix this module. I can say maybe what module So this module will be chosen to be home of T to O modulo pi n. So it's a module over An. But for the moment, it can be any An module. And so what is this simplicial Artinian ring? It's always An, so An. So all the maps are the identity to An all the times, except in degree 1, you have 3 maps going to the ring An plus Mn square 0. This is an Artinian ring where this is an ideal of square 0. And you take the 2 projections to An, and so this is the 0, 1, and any. So this is this simplicial ring. So something happens only in degree 1. You take this simplicial ring, and the point is that the key map is that you can consider. So I just explained that, and maybe I will have to stop. Unless. So the key map is this map psi n, so I explained this thing, to home from pi 1 of R to Mn. So I explained this map and I stop, I think. So this is then you will dualize, then take the direct limit over n, and you get this map. So what is this map? So how do you send the simplicial ring R to An? This is because R maps to this pi 0R, and this pi 0R, as I said, is the Tor 0. The Tor 0 is R, which is T, and therefore it goes to T modulo pi to the n. So this is by Calegari-Gherati theorem. So you have some fundamental map from this to An. And now you consider so this is maybe phi n, so this one is phi n. And then you consider all the liftings, so these are simplicial ring homomorphisms. I'm sorry. Lifting, so you have, of course, An goes to its pi 0, which is, of course, its pi 0 is just An like this. So you have this morphism. So you consider the liftings. So these are simplicial ring homomorphisms lifting this homomorphism phi n. And so these are just T module homomorphisms. I'm sorry, T module homomorphisms. And the map is defined in the following way. That's my last. Okay. How it is defined? if you have such a lifting, capital phi, from R to AN, yeah, I didn't say what map I take. Okay, I'm sorry, this is important. So what is this phi n? This phi n, yeah, well, okay. Exactly, so if you want to know what is this phi n, it corresponds to the Galois representation, rho m, the Scholze representation, modulo pi to the n, obviously. So that's clear. So anyway, so now you take a lifting of this phi n, and you consider an element of the fundamental group. What is the fundamental group? It is the quotient, it is the set of S sets morphisms between the simplicial interval to this simplicial set, but it's a ring actually, but simplicial set, modulo with the property that they send the boundary of the simplicial interval to the fixed point 0 in this simplicial ring, and then you take this modulo homotopy. So that's, you take an element here. So how do you define the psi n? Sorry, where is the psi n? Here, the psi n. You define it as follows. You choose a representative of gamma. So you get a map from the simplicial interval to R. You compose with AN. So this is the capital phi. You compose to this thing, and then you project to Mn. So this is Mn of 1, okay? Mn of 1, so you project. So this is viewed as a simplicial module, or a simplicial set, if you like. Simplicial set, because this is a simplicial set, this is a simplicial set, and it turns out that the homomorphisms between simplicial sets like this is nothing but Mn. That's completely formal, okay? And so you get an element here. Now it does not depend on the choice of the representative you took. And so that's the construction of psi n. If you have a capital phi, if you have an element here, you can define an element there. And so now why is it related to Selmer group? Because as usual, this is, so you see, because you took this shift by 1, if you look at the interpretation of these deformations, it is not the H1 Galois, but it's the H2 Galois of F adjoint rho m. And then tensor Mn, I'm sorry, tensor Mn. This is the ideal of square 0. And so then by Poitou-Tate, this is H1 minimal ordinary of adjoint rho m 0, of course, dual of 1. And so that's, yes. So there is a dual somewhere. Oh yeah, by Poitou-Tate. By Poitou-Tate duality, it is the point, this is the AN, sorry, Mn dual. So this is the AN dual. And this is the AN dual also. And now you are good. You take the dual of this surjection, you get an injection that you call maybe Galassius-Venkatesh index n, and then you take the inductive limit and you get this map, which we call Galassius-Venkatesh. And so in the case you have this, so as I said, you can compute the rank of this by Caligari, Geraghty, and Poitou-Tate. And if you know that this is free, then this is, so if L0 is 1, this is free. So this is P divisible. So this will be the P divisible part of that. The quotient is finite and is the dual of this one. So I stop here.